Hi Stampers, this is Kim with Great Inspirations. Thank you for joining me today for this next video in my Stamp Happy Holidays series for 2025. And you can see I have 3 cards here, one for Halloween, one for autumn or Thanksgiving, and one for Christmas. And these cards have a little surprise inside. Here we have the trick or treat. We open it up. And there was another message inside and a little design and this cute little pop-up mechanism. This is called an explosion card or an explosion pop-up card or pop-out card. And there are several different ways to make an explosion card. This is the one that I personally feel is the easiest and the quickest and just my preferred way to make it. Nothing wrong with the others. This is just the way I like to make the explosion card. So what makes it so special is it's a little different. You open it up and there's, it's kind of unexpected, but that's all due to this little mechanism right here that is so easy to just score and fold. You can decorate it however you like on the inside here. As you can see in here, I've decided to, this black cardstock is the mechanism itself. These are pieces of white cardstock. I've just stamped on them. And then I've used some pattern paper that we cut in half because there's that fold. So just to kind of add a little more interest. And as you'll notice inside, and this is pattern paper. I know it kind of looks like cardstock, but it is pattern paper. It was like an ombre pattern. It's really difficult to see with the mechanism on here, but these pieces are optional, but they do kind of set your card, just take it up that notch, kind of make it a little extra special. So there's the inside of that one. And on this one, I've used this pattern paper on the front and this pattern paper on the inside. They are the same color. And then I just used 1 square each, cut it diagonally, and then I had the pieces I need to fill in these sections here. And I just kept it really simple. Just put a little design on there, a little leaf, and Happy Thanksgiving. And here's our trees for a Christmas card. And inside here, I've used this pattern paper on the outside, different pattern paper on the inside, and then these two are also, of course, different. And I did the same. I just cut 2 squares and cut them in half diagonally to get the different sections needed. So this card, these are in landscape version. You can also do them in a portrait version. And as long as it's an A2 size, everything remains the same as far as for the inside mechanism. Here's the one I did for Halloween. And this is a fall-themed birthday card. And then here's the Christmas one. Like I said, the mechanism is the exact same size as for the landscape. But in the portrait, it looks a little different, not much. There's our trick or treat. And go nuts, it's your birthday. And then inside, just some plaid papers and sentiment. And, whoops. And here for the background, instead of a pattern paper, I just used a background stamp. Used some different patterned papers on the outside. And inside, I took one of the patterns from the outside and put it inside. So you can also make these in different sizes. Now, the one I have is that I made, it's a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 square, and it is right here. And now this is a sample of how I didn't put pattern paper inside. I just left the cardstock there. And then I just cut 1 square of pattern paper and cut it in half, and then used a little square of the cardstock and put it here. So see, that pattern paper there is optional. But for this one, we had to modify the size of the mechanism just a little. For all of these, the mechanism is 5.5 by 5.5 inches, and then you score it, and we'll walk through that in a minute. For this 4.5 inch square, the mechanism is, not 4.5, it's 4.25 inch square. The mechanism is 4.25 by 4.25, but you score them all the same way. So we're going to walk through that, and we'll make a card together. So here are the landscape ones, and these are the portrait ones, and here are the landscape. The one we're going to make together is a landscape version. So what you need is, to start with, you need a card base. And for the landscape, it's 8.5 by 5.5. For the portrait, you're going to use 11 by 4.25. Now, all these measurements and all this information is on my corresponding blog post, and the link to that blog post can be found in the description of this video. So we would score this down the center at 4.25, just like always, and we're just going to fold it, get the bone folder, make a nice crease, and there is our card base. Then you will need some pattern paper for the outside. If you like, you may have another design that you don't want to use pattern paper, that's fine. But this is just a first layer, so it's 5.25 by 4. And then I have two pieces that are 5.25 by 4 for the inside. And I know there's a lot of red and green there, but that's going to go there. Then we have, I cut these two white squares. We may or may not need them for the inside, just depending. I really, I'm not going to stamp a greeting on here on camera, mostly because I wasn't really sure what greeting I was going to put in here. But it may be best if I decide to stamp something that I need to color with an alcohol marker. Even though this is white, it might be a good idea to go ahead and have my square to put on there, because the alcohol marker bleeds through, and you will see, you would be able to see it through, although it would be glued to the card. But I just have to think about that. I just haven't got that far yet. So I have two pieces of pattern paper that we're going to cut in half, and these are 2.5 inch squares, as are these. So you end up needing 4 2.5 inch squares. And that's to decorate this explosion piece, the little mechanism. And then I have a little focal point or focal piece that I have already put together there. So we're going to get the trimmer, and we're going to do some scoring. And this is really easy. And whatever size your mechanism is, like this is 5.5 across, it's 5.5 inch square. That's what we want, is a square. Take half of that. So half of 5.5 is 2 3/4. So we're going to put this in here and score right down the middle at 2 3/4. We want to go from top to bottom, and then we're going to turn it so that we will have it scored from side to side. And again, that's at 2 3/4 inches. And then we're going to score diagonally from top to bottom just one time. You don't have to do both sides, just one. Put it there, line it up really good. I'm going to start scoring kind of in the middle so I don't mess up my corners. And there we go. I'm not sure you can see those score lines. So now what we're going to do, we're going to fold them. Definitely use your bone folder. Now we'll fold the diagonal. And I usually fold it back the other way as well. Now we just press these inward, and there we go. So on the inside, we need to do a little decorating. Let me find my little mat here. There we go. So we need to cut these two pieces in half. So I'm just going to line them up together. Get out my trimmer again. And just line the corners up in the little cutting tray here. Move my cutting blade, kind of put it in the middle so it doesn't have to bend up my corners, and we're done. And we're going to put this one here and this one right here. And then for the other side, we're going to flip them. You don't have to, and they can all be the exact same. It doesn't matter. Whoops, I didn't flip them. Just like that. Let me get out some adhesive. And this square that we scored in half diagonally is 2 3/4 inches. So that's why these squares are 2 1/2. And as you can see, there's a nice little border there. So let's get some more adhesive on here. And we'll just put that right in there, leaving a little border. Now we'll do the next side. Like I said, I'm going to put the green on the top on this side. There's that one. And this last one. And there we go. And then I am going to go ahead and put these in here. I know it's white on white, but I think that'll be just fine. And then I can come back and stamp my greeting when I decide what I want to put in there. When I was getting this ready earlier, I was just getting a little lazy, I guess. It's been a long morning, and it's not even noon yet. We had, first of all, the toilet clogged, so that's always nice. We have no idea why. Just did. Then I cut my finger. It's not very bad, but it sure did like to bleed. And then I went to put we have a chest freezer that the other day, for whatever reason, it stopped working. So my husband he found a part that it needed. He got it installed. We've had it cooling. Now it's ready to put the stuff back in it. Well, I opened the door of our other freezer and yeah, a pound of hamburger fell out on my foot. That kind of hurt. So it's been an interesting morning, but I think the rest of the day is going to go better now. So let's go ahead and put these inside. And again, these are just like a first layer. They're 5 1/4 by 4. And honestly, all these pieces of pattern paper I'm using today, they're scraps that I had. Some of them are larger scraps. Like this one, I think, was a half of a 12 by 12, I think. Maybe a little less than half, but very close. So there's that. And now, to get this, we have, say this is the part we want at the top. So we have that right there. I'm going to get stronger adhesive. I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal Plus. You can use tear and tape, red tape, anything you have that is pretty strong, because this has to be able to hold on while it's being open and closed. So I'm going to flip this. So this is what I want at the bottom. Now, it doesn't matter. You can do this either way, but this is just what works for me. I could have put the adhesive on the top and then just put it here and closed it, but I like to put it on the bottom. And then you want to put this just under that score line. Get it centered from right to left, and then place it just under your score line and press. And now we're going to put adhesive up here and simply close the card. And there we go. Now we'll just put the front panel on. Now you could put the front panel on first if you want. It doesn't matter. However you like to do it. And then we have our little focal piece. Get that on here, just center it on there real nice. Maybe make it a little closer. Yeah, there we go. I like that, a little up towards the top a little more. So there we go. That is how you make this explosion card. It's really easy and really simple to do. And like I say, when you make it in this 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, you will make this piece. I have one right here. Looks like a little mouth. You will make it 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and then you would, if you could see the score lines better. You score down the center from top to bottom at 2 1/8, and then you score across at 2 1/8. Then you put it in the center from corner to corner and score. Then you just fold and your score lines and use your bone folder. Press these two in, and there you go. So here is the card we just made, and here's the little 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. And there's for Halloween, for fall, another Christmas one, Halloween in our portrait version, Christmas, and a little fall birthday card. Thank you so much for joining me today. As I said, all of the measurements for these cards, and including the 4 1/4 inch square, will be found on my corresponding blog post. There's lots of pictures, there's instructions, all that kind of stuff will be found there. I want to thank you again for joining me, and until next time, stamp happy.